Welcome to Story Tales. Please like this video and subscribe to Story Tales. I hope you enjoy the story. Let's begin. Rowan's truck rumbled into the driveway at exactly 6:30. 7 days on the Morrison construction site, 2 hours north, had left his hands raw and his back aching. He killed the engine and sat for a moment, watching the warm glow from the kitchen window. Home should have felt welcoming. It didn't. The front door stuck when he pushed it. He'd been meaning to fix that for months. Inside, the house smelled like roasted chicken and something chemical he couldn't place. Dad! Ava's voice carried from the living room. She appeared in the hallway, still in her school clothes, paint smudges on her fingers. Hey, kiddo. He wrapped her in a hug, breathing in the familiar scent of her strawberry shampoo. What are you working on? A landscape. Trees and mountains. She pulled back, studying his face. You look tired. Just a long week. Where's your mom? Ava's eyes flickered toward the kitchen. She's cooking. The hesitation in her voice made him look closer. Dark circles under her eyes. Shoulders tense. When had his 12-year-old daughter started carrying the weight of the world? He found Cass at the stove, stirring a pot of green beans. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a perfect ponytail. Her makeup was fresh, like she'd just reapplied it. She glanced over when he entered, but didn't smile. You're back. I called this morning. Said I'd be home for dinner. Right. She turned back to the stove. Chicken's almost ready. He moved closer, reaching around her to wash his hands at the sink. She stepped away before he could touch her. The motion was subtle but deliberate. Long week? She asked, not looking at him. Same as always. How was yours? Fine. Rowan dried his hands slowly, watching her profile. When had she stopped meeting his eyes? When had their conversations become this hollow exchange of nothing? Ava seems quiet. Cass's stirring motion faltered for half a second. She's 12. They're all moody at that age. She's not moody. She's worried. About what? You tell me. Finally, Cass turned to face him. Her blue eyes were cold, calculating. I don't know what you mean. The timer on the oven buzzed. She moved past him to pull out the chicken, and he caught that chemical smell again. Bleach, maybe, or cleaning supplies. Dinner was a quiet affair. Rowan carved the chicken while Cass served the sides. Ava picked at her food, glancing between her parents like she was watching a tennis match. Tell me about school, Rowan said. We're reading Bridge to Terabithia in English class. Ava's voice was small. It's sad. What's it about? These kids who create this imaginary kingdom. But then, she trailed off, looking at her plate. Then what? One of them dies. In an accident. The other one has to deal with it alone. Cass set her fork down harder than necessary. Ava, eat your vegetables. I am. No, you're pushing them around your plate. Ava flinched. Rowan watched the interplay between his wife and daughter, noting things he'd missed before. The way Ava's shoulders hunched when Cass spoke sharply. The way Cass avoided looking at either of them for too long. The chicken's good, he said, breaking the tension. Thank you. Cass's response was automatic, polite, like she was talking to a stranger. After dinner, Ava retreated to her room to finish homework. Rowan helped clear the table, moving around Cass in their kitchen dance. But the rhythm was off. She kept her distance, handed him plates without letting their fingers touch. You want to watch something? He asked. That show you like is on tonight. I have some things to do online. You watch if you want. She disappeared toward their bedroom. Rowan stood in the empty kitchen, listening to the house settle around him. Through the window, he could see the Hendersons next door watching TV together on their couch. Normal. Happy, he climbed the stairs and knocked on Ava's door. Come in. She was lying on her bed, sketchbook propped against her knees. The landscape she'd mentioned was taking shape, dark mountains against a storm-filled sky. That's beautiful. It's not finished yet. She added shadow to a pine tree. Dad, yeah, is everything okay? With you and Mom? The question hit him like a punch to the gut. Kids weren't supposed to ask things like that. Kids were supposed to feel safe in their own homes. Why do you ask? You don't talk anymore. Not really. And she's been different. Different how? Ava set down her pencil. She used to hum when she cooked. She doesn't anymore. And she looks at us sometimes like she's seeing strangers. Rowan sat on the edge of her bed. Adults go through rough patches sometimes. It doesn't mean anything's wrong. But even as he said it, he knew he was lying. Something was very wrong. He just didn't know what yet. Dad, Ava's voice was barely a whisper. Are you going to leave? No. The word came out fierce, definitive. I'm not going anywhere. Neither are you. This is our home. She nodded, but tears gathered in her eyes. He pulled her into a hug, feeling how fragile she seemed in his arms. When had his little girl started carrying fears this big? Later that night, he lay in bed next to Cass. She was already asleep, or pretending to be. Her breathing was too controlled, too even. In 12 years of marriage, he'd learned the difference that he stared at the ceiling, thinking about chemical smells and cold shoulders and his daughter's worried eyes. Something was coming. He could feel it in his bones, the same way he'd felt incoming mortars in Afghanistan. He just didn't know how to stop at point. 3 days later, they sat down for dinner again. Rowan had spent the day regrouting the Hendersons' bathroom. Ava had made progress on her painting. Cass had been home all day, but the house looked untouched, like she'd spent the hours sitting perfectly still. I picked up your prescription, Rowan said, serving himself mashed potatoes. The one Dr. Martinez called in. Cass paused with her fork halfway to her mouth. Which prescription? For your headaches. The bottle's on the counter. Oh, right. Thank you. But she hadn't had headaches lately. At least, she hadn't mentioned any. Rowan made a mental note to check the bottle later. Ava, how was our club? Good. Mrs. Peterson wants to display my landscape in the hallway. That's wonderful, Cass said. Her smile looked painted on. They ate in relative quiet. Rowan tasted his food carefully. The meatloaf was different somehow. More salt? Different seasoning? Cass had always been a good cook, but tonight something felt off. This is really good, he said, testing. Thank you. I tried a new recipe. Ava took a bite and made a face. It tastes weird. Ava. Cass's voice was sharp. Don't be rude. I'm not being rude. It just tastes. She pushed the food around her plate. Can I have a peanut butter sandwich instead? Cass reached across the table for Rowan's water glass. As she lifted it to her lips, her face suddenly went white as paper. Wrong glass, she whispered. Then she convulsed. The glass shattered on the floor as her body seized violently. Her eyes rolled back. Foam appeared at the corner of her mouth, and she pitched forward onto the table. Mom! Ava screamed. Rowan was moving before conscious thought kicked in, catching Cass before she could hit the floor. Her body was rigid, every muscle locked in spasm. Call 911, Ava. Now! His daughter stood frozen, staring in horror as her mother convulsed in his arms. Ava! She snapped out of it and ran for the phone. Rowan lowered Cass to the floor, rolling her onto her side as the seizure began to subside. Her breathing was shallow, her pulse rapid and weak. It's okay, Cass. Help is coming. But even as he said it, his mind was racing. Wrong glass. She'd said wrong glass, which meant she'd expected one of the glasses to be different. The ambulance arrived in minutes. The EMTs took over, asking rapid-fire questions Rowan couldn't answer. What had she eaten? Any medications? Medical history? We need to get her to Memorial immediately, the lead EMT said. This looks like poisoning. Poisoning? Ava grabbed Rowan's arm. Someone poisoned Mom? We don't know yet, baby. But as Rowan watched them load Cass into the ambulance, her words echoed in his mind. Wrong glass. Wrong glass. At the hospital, they whisked Cass into emergency treatment. Rowan and Ava sat in the waiting room, both of them in shock. Mr. Mathers? A young nurse approached them. Dark hair pulled back, kind eyes, scrubs decorated with cartoon penguins. Her name tag read Juliet. How is she? Stable, but critical. We're running tests to determine what toxin she ingested. Nurse Juliet pulled up a chair, her expression serious. Mr. Mathers, I need to ask you some questions. Do you know what your wife ate or drank today? We all had the same dinner. Meatloaf, mashed potatoes, green beans. What about drinks? Water. We all had water. From the same source. Rowan thought about it. We each had our own glass. But they all came from the same pitcher. Mr. Mathers. Juliet's voice was gentle. Your wife has been poisoned with a sedative compound. A massive dose that could have been fatal. But who would? That's what we need to figure out. Is there anyone who might want to hurt your wife? Rowan shook his head, but something nagged at him. Wrong glass. Why would she say wrong glass unless she'd expected? Can I see her? She's unconscious right now. The sedatives are very strong. But Mr. Mathers, there's something else. We found trace amounts of the same compound in her system from previous exposure. This wasn't the first time. The words hit him like a punch to the gut. What are you saying? Someone's been dosing your wife with these drugs for weeks, maybe longer. Tonight's dose was just much higher than the others. Bring your daughter here. Now. Rowan blinked. What? Juliet leaned forward. Mr. Mathers, if someone has been poisoning your wife systematically, your daughter might be in danger too. I want to run some blood work on her, just to be safe. An hour later, Dr. Martinez found them in the consultation room. Ava had been remarkably brave during the blood draw, but now she sat curled against Rowan's side, exhausted and scared. Mr. Mathers, your daughter's tests came back clean. No signs of any toxins. Relief flooded through him. Thank God. But Dr. Martinez continued. We need to talk about your wife's condition. The pattern of exposure suggests this wasn't random. Someone with regular access to her food or drinks has been systematically poisoning her. That's impossible. No one has access except him, and Ava, and Cass herself. Doctor, my wife said something strange before she collapsed. She said wrong glass, like she was expecting one of the glasses to be different. Dr. Martinez exchanged a look with Nurse Juliet. Mr. Mathers, is it possible your wife knew about the poisoning? That she was expecting it, but something went wrong? The question hung in the air like a toxic cloud. Rowan felt the world tilt beneath him as a terrible possibility began to form in his mind. Ava slept through the night under observation. Rowan sat beside her bed, watching her small chest rise and fall, listening to the steady beep of machines. Cass had gone home around midnight to get some rest and check on the house. At dawn, a different nurse brought him coffee and told him Ava was stable. The sedatives were working their way out of her system. She'd probably wake up within the hour. She's lucky, the nurse said. Another hour or two, and the dose could have stopped her breathing. Lucky, right? When Ava stirred, Rowan was there. Her eyes opened slowly, confused and frightened. Dad, I'm here, baby. You're okay. You're in the hospital, but you're okay. What happened? You got sick at dinner. Do you remember that? She nodded slowly. The meat loaf tasted funny. Funny how? Bitter. Like medicine. She struggled to sit up. Where's Mom? She went home to rest. She'll be back soon. But as Rowan said it, he found himself hoping Cass would stay away. Something cold and hard was building in his chest. Suspicion crystallizing into certainty. Dad, am I going to be okay? Yes, absolutely. I promise. A promise he intended to keep. Whatever it took, an hour later, Dr. Martinez arrived with Ava's discharge papers. She could go home, but needed to take it easy for a few days. No school until her system was completely clear. We'll want to see her again next week, he said to Rowan, just to make sure there are no lasting effects. What about finding out what poisoned her? The police will want to test anything she might have eaten. They'll probably come by your house today. Police. The word sent a chill through him. This was really happening. They discharged Ava around noon. Rowan signed the papers with one hand while texting Henry with the other. He needed backup. He needed someone he could trust absolutely. That in the car. Ava dozed against the window. Rowan watched her in the rearview mirror, noting how pale she still looked. Someone had tried to hurt his daughter. Someone had been hurting his daughter for days, maybe weeks. He was going to find out who, and then he was going to destroy them. The house looked normal when they pulled up. Cass's car was in the driveway. The front yard was neat and trim. But Rowan felt like he was approaching enemy territory. Inside, Cass rushed to hug Ava. Oh, sweetheart, I was so worried. For a moment, watching his wife hold his daughter, Rowan almost convinced himself he was wrong. Almost. Then he caught the way Cass was looking at him over Ava's head. Calculating. Measuring. How do you feel, baby? Cass asked. Tired. And my tummy hurts. Why don't you go rest in your room? I'll bring you some soup later. After Ava went upstairs, Rowan found himself alone with his wife in the kitchen. The scene of the crime. The plates from dinner were gone. but he could still see where Ava had collapsed. The doctor said she was poisoned. Cass's hands stilled on the counter. Poisoned? How is that possible? Someone put sedatives in her food. That's horrible. Who would do something like that? Her shock looked real. Sounded real. But Rowan had spent 2 tours in Afghanistan learning to read people who wanted to kill him. He trusted his instincts. Cass, where's your purse? What? Your purse. Where is it? In the bedroom. Why? You left it at the hospital. She blinked. Once. Twice. Oh, right. I must have forgotten. No. You took it with you when you left. I saw you. The mask slipped. Just for a second. But it was enough. Rowan, what are you trying to say? I'm saying you're lying. She drew herself up, summoning righteous indignation. How dare you? My daughter was poisoned, and you're accusing me of. Your purse was on the table next to your bed at the hospital. Right next to your chair. Your phone was charging next to it. So you said you forgot it. But you didn't. It was right there. Cass opened her mouth to argue, then seemed to realize the hole she'd dug. Her shoulders sagged slightly. I don't know what you want me to say. I want you to tell me the truth. The truth about what? About why you lied. About why Ava's been sick for weeks. About why you've been acting like a stranger in your own house. For a long moment, they stared at each other across the kitchen. 12 years of marriage. 13 years together. All of it balanced on this moment. I need some air, Cass said finally. I'm going for a walk. She grabbed her keys and headed for the door. The moment she was gone, Rowan moved. Her purse was on the kitchen counter. Inside, he found her phone passwordless, trusting the way she'd always been, or pretended to be. The text messages started 3 months ago. A contact listed as LK. Miss you gorgeous. Can't wait for night. Rowan's going out of town next week. Perfect timing. Did you book the cabin? This is taking too long. When are we going to do it? Soon. I need to be careful. Everything has to be perfect. I'm getting impatient. Maybe we should just leave. Take the girl and go. No. We stick to the plan. Trust me. Rowan's hand shook as he scrolled through months of messages. Affairs he could have handled. He'd been cheated on before in his first marriage. But this got the insurance paperwork today. $500,000. More than enough to start over. What about the kid? Ava comes with us. She'll understand eventually. And if she doesn't, she will. Children are resilient. I don't like kids. Cast a she'll grow on you. Besides, we'll have plenty of money to send her to boarding school if needed. The messages got worse. More detailed. Plans for making Rowan's death look like an accident. Dosing schedules for something called practice runs. References to a shell company, bank accounts in the Cayman Islands. Then, 3 days ago, it's time. Tomorrow night. You sure you got the dosage right? I've been practicing on Ava for weeks. Same body weight, same metabolism. It's perfect, practicing on Ava. The words blurred as rage filled his vision. His wife had been poisoning their daughter as a test run for murdering him. What if something goes wrong? Nothing will go wrong. He'll have a heart attack during dinner. Natural causes. We'll be grief-stricken. The insurance will pay out in 6 months. And then we disappear. New names, new life. Beach house in Costa Rica. Just like we always talked about. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Soon, my love. Very soon. But something had gone wrong. Ava had eaten from the wrong plate. Or maybe Cass had gotten confused. Either way, his daughter had nearly died because his wife wanted him dead. Rowan set the phone down carefully. His hands weren't shaking anymore. The rage had crystallized into something harder, colder. More useful that he heard Cass's car in the driveway. When she walked into the kitchen, he was sitting at the table, her phone in front of him. She saw it immediately. Her face went dead white. Rowan L.K. Landencroft. Your old college boyfriend. The one with the logistics company. She didn't deny it. Smart. There was no point. How long, he asked. How long what? How long have you been planning to kill me? The question hung between them like a blade. Cass looked around the kitchen anywhere but at him. It's not what you think. No? Then what is it? It's complicated. Uncomplicated. She sat down across from him, her hands folded in her lap like a schoolgirl called to the principal's office. I never meant for Ava to get hurt. But you did hurt her. Repeatedly. For weeks. It was just research. I needed to know the right dosage. Research. He said the word like it tasted bad. You poisoned our daughter as research for murdering her father. Don't make it sound so what? Evil? Insane? What would you call it, Cass? She flinched at his tone. Good. She should be afraid. I love Landon. And that makes attempted murder okay. I don't love you anymore. The words came out flat, matter of fact. I haven't for years. But you're a good father. You provide for us. I couldn't just leave. Why not? Because you'd get custody. I know you would. And I can't leave Ava. So you decided to kill me instead. It seemed cleaner. Easier. We get the insurance money. Ava will be taken care of. Everyone would be happy. Everyone except me. Because I'd be dead. She looked up at him then, really looked at him. Her eyes were those of a stranger. You weren't supposed to suffer. It would have been quick. The casual way she said it like she was discussing dinner plans sent ice through his veins. This wasn't the woman he'd married. This wasn't Ava's mother. This was someone wearing their faces. Who are you? He asked quietly. I'm the same person I've always been. You just never really saw me. Maybe that was true. Maybe he'd been willfully blind to who she really was. But he saw her now. What happens now? She asked. Rowan stood up slowly. 12 years of marriage, and it came down to this. His wife had tried to murder him and had poisoned their daughter in preparation. There was no coming back from this. No forgiveness. No second chances. Now, he looked down at her, and she shrank back from whatever she saw in his face. Now you find out what happens when you try to destroy Rowan Mathers. He turned and walked out of the kitchen, leaving her sitting alone with her phone and her guilt and the wreckage of their life. Upstairs, he could hear Ava moving around in her room. Safe. For now. But Cass wasn't the only enemy. There was still Landencroft to deal with. Still plans to unravel and justice to serve. The war was just beginning. Henry arrived 20 minutes after Rowan's call. No questions asked, no explanations needed. That's what 2 tours in Afghanistan and 15 years of friendship bought you. He found Rowan in the garage, staring at a half-built workbench like it held the secrets of the universe. Talk to me. Rowan handed him the phone. Henry read in silence, his face growing darker with each message. Jesus Christ, Ro. She's been poisoning Ava for weeks. As practice. Henry set the phone down carefully. Where is she now? Inside. Probably calling Landon. And Ava? In her room. Safe for now. For now. Rowan turned to face his friend. This isn't over, Hen. She tried to kill me. She poisoned our daughter. You think she's just going to accept defeat and move on? What are you saying? I'm saying we need to know everything. Every detail of their plan. Every bank account. Every forged document. Every lie they've built this on. Henry nodded slowly. What do you need? Help. And expertise I don't have. I know a guy. Used to be military intelligence. Civilian now, but he still has contacts. Discreet ones. Call him. While Henry made calls, Rowan went inside to check on Ava. She was curled up on her bed with a book, looking small and fragile. How are you feeling? Better. Still tired, though. That's normal. Your body's still getting rid of the bad stuff. She nodded, then looked up at him with those 2 wise eyes. Dad, something's really wrong, isn't it? He sat on the edge of her bed. Yeah, kiddo. Something's really wrong. Is it about Mom? Smart girl. Too smart for her own good sometimes. Yes. Is she sick? In a way, yes. But not the kind of sick that got better with medicine. Ava, I need you to listen to me carefully. In a little while, you're going to go stay with Uncle Henry for a few days. What? Because I need to take care of some things, and I need to know you're safe while I do it. Fear flickered in her eyes. Safe from what? From people who want to hurt us. Mom. The question was barely a whisper. Rowan felt his heart break a little more. I don't know yet, but I need to find out. She was quiet for a long moment, processing this in the way kids do when their whole world shifts beneath them. Okay, she said finally. But you'll come get me when it's safe? The minute it's safe. I promise. An hour later, Henry's contact arrived. Marcus Ellis looked like an accountant, thin, pale, unremarkable. But his eyes were sharp and cold, and he handled technology with the easy confidence of someone who'd used it to topple governments. They set up in Rowan's home office. Marcus connected scanners and tablets and devices whose names Rowan didn't know. Within minutes, he was pulling data from phones, computers, financial records. Your wife's been busy, Marcus said, fingers flying across a keyboard. Multiple bank accounts, all opened in the last 6 months. Shell companies in Delaware and Nevada. Very sophisticated setup. How sophisticated? She didn't do this alone. Someone with serious financial expertise helped plan this. Images appeared on his tablet. Bank statements, transfer records, incorporation documents. Here's your life insurance policy. $500,000, just like the text said. But there's more. She also took out accidental death policies on you through 3 different companies. Total payout would be about $2 million. Rowan felt sick. She's been planning this for months. Longer. Look at this. Marcus pulled up more records. She's been moving money around for almost a year. Small amounts at first, then larger. Building up reserves in hidden accounts. Where's the money coming from? Your joint accounts, mostly, but also cash deposits. Someone's been funding this operation. Landon Croft. Most likely. Let me check. More typing. Oh, this is interesting. Croft Logistics has been paying consulting fees to one of your wife's shell companies. $50,000 a month for the last 6 months. Consulting fees for what? Doesn't matter. It's money laundering. They're creating a paper trail to justify large cash transfers. Henry leaned over Marcus's shoulder. What else you got? Travel reservations. Costa Rica, just like the text mentioned. 2 adults, 1 child. Open-ended tickets purchased 3 months ago. So they were really going to take Ava. Looks like it. They've also got property reserved down there. Beach house in Manuel Antonio. Very nice. Very expensive. Each revelation hit like a physical blow. This wasn't a crime of passion or a moment of weakness. This was a carefully orchestrated plan to destroy his life and steal his daughter. Here's something else. Marcus pulled up a new screen. Your wife's been researching you, Ro. Background checks, credit reports, surveillance software purchases. Surveillance software, keyloggers, GPS trackers, phone monitoring apps. She's been watching you for months. The paranoia Rowan had felt made sense now. He wasn't imagining things. He was being watched, tracked, studied like a lab rat. What about Croft? What have you got on him? Plenty. Married to Paige Croft, daughter of State Senator Harrison. 2 kids in private school. Business worth about $10 million annually. So he's got plenty to lose. More than you know. Look at this. Marcus showed them a series of financial records. Croft Logistics is in trouble. They've been hemorrhaging money for the last 2 years. Bad investments, cost overruns, some contracts that went south. They're leveraged to the hilt. So he needs money. Desperately. They're probably 6 months from bankruptcy. The picture was becoming clearer. Cass wanted out of their marriage, but couldn't leave without losing Ava. Landon needed money to save his business. Together, they'd planned to murder Rowan, collect the insurance money, and disappear to Costa Rica. Clean. Simple. Effective. Except nothing was ever that simple. Can you trace their communications? See what they're planning now. Already on it. Marcus's fingers never stopped moving. They've switched to encrypted apps since yesterday. But I can break those. Give me an hour. While Marcus worked, Rowan and Henry went outside. The suburban evening was peaceful kids playing in yards, families grilling dinner, normal people living normal lives. What's the play here, Ro? I destroy them. Both of them. How? I don't know yet. But I'm going to make sure they lose everything. Their money, their freedom, their future. Everything they try to steal from me. And Ava. Ava gets a normal life. Away from all this. Henry was quiet for a moment. You sure you want to go down this road? This kind of revenge, it changes you. They changed me the minute they decided to poison my daughter. Henry nodded. He understood. In war, you protected what mattered. Everything else was acceptable casualties. 2 days later, Rowan sat in a coffee shop downtown, waiting. The call had come that morning, a woman's voice, crisp and professional. Mr. Mathers? My name is Paige Croft. I believe we need to talk. Now she walked through the door, and Rowan understood immediately why Landon had married her. Tall, elegant, with the kind of understated confidence that came from old money and older power. But her eyes were hard as diamonds. She sat across from him without preamble. You know who I am? Landon's wife. Among other things. You're probably wondering why I called. The thought crossed my mind. She opened her purse and pulled out a tablet. Because I've been watching my husband destroy our life for the past 6 months, and I'm tired of being married to a narcissistic psychopath. She slid the tablet across the table. Photos filled the screen. Landon and Cass in hotel rooms, restaurants, parking lots. Hundreds of them. I hired a private investigator 3 months ago. I know about the affair. I know about the money. I know about the plan to murder you. Rowan looked up from the photos. Why didn't you stop it? Because I wanted proof. Ironclad, indisputable proof that would destroy him completely in divorce court. And now I discover he's not just cheating on me. He's planning to commit murder and involve my children in the aftermath. She was angry. Deeply, coldly angry, but in control. Dangerous. What do you want from me? The same thing you want. I want him ruined. I want him to lose everything: his business, his money, his freedom, his future. I want him to understand what it feels like to have your life destroyed by someone you trust. In exchange for everything I have on him. Financial records, communications, proof of the conspiracy. Everything you need to put him in prison for a very long time. She pulled up more files on the tablet. Bank transfers, business documents, recorded phone calls. I've been building this case for months. But I need your testimony, your wife's phone records, proof of the poisoning. Together, we can bury them both. Rowan studied her face. Why should I trust you? Because I have 2 children, Mr. Mathers. A boy and a girl, ages 8 and 10. And if my husband's plan had succeeded, their father would have been a murderer. I won't let them grow up with that legacy. What about your kids? They'll lose their father anyway. They'll lose a father who destroys families for money and murders innocent people. I think they'll survive. She was right, and she had resources Rowan needed. What's your plan? We expose everything. The affair, the conspiracy, the financial fraud. We give the prosecutors so much evidence they won't be able to ignore it. We make sure both of them go to prison for a very long time. And then you get your daughter back, and I get my independence. My children grow up knowing their mother fought for what was right. She leaned forward, her eyes intense. But I have one condition, which is, I don't just want them punished. I want them humiliated. I want everyone in this town to know what they are, what they tried to do. The vindictive edge in her voice should have worried him. Instead, it felt like finding an ally who understood the depth of his anger. Deal. They spent the next hour going through evidence. Paige had been thorough, recording conversations, documenting meetings, tracking every dollar that moved between accounts. Here's where it gets interesting, she said, pulling up a business document. Landon used company funds to pay for the insurance policies on you. Technically, that's embezzlement from his own business. But the business has other investors, meaning he's stolen from them too. When they find out, they'll sue him into bankruptcy. Even if he avoids prison, he'll be financially destroyed. Ruthless and efficient. Rowan was beginning to like Paige Croft. There's something else, she continued. Landon's on the school board. He's also on the board of directors for the Children's Hospital charity. Very public positions. So when the scandal breaks, he won't just lose his freedom. He'll lose his reputation, his social standing, everything he's built his identity on. She showed him news clippings, social media posts, photos of Landon at charity events and ribbon cuttings. He's a pillar of the community, Mr. Mathers. The fall will be that much more spectacular. What about Cass? Paige's expression darkened. Your wife is the one who planned this. My husband may have funded it, but she orchestrated it. She poisoned your daughter. She deserves everything that's coming to her. They talked for another hour, sharing information and coordinating their attack. By the time they parted ways, Rowan felt something he hadn't felt since finding those text messages. Hope that he wasn't fighting this battle alone anymore. Cass woke up in the hospital bed feeling like her head was full of cotton. The last thing she remembered was dinner, reaching for a water glass, realizing too late it was the wrong one. Then darkness. You're awake. She turned to see Rowan in the chair beside her bed. He looked terrible, unshaven, hollow-eyed, clothes wrinkled like he'd slept in them. What happened? You were poisoned. At dinner. You've been unconscious for 36 hours. Poisoned? How? Someone put sedatives in your water glass. The doctors say it's the same compound they found traces of in your system from previous exposures. Cass tried to sit up, but her head spun. The room tilted dangerously. I don't remember anything. Nothing. The last thing I remember is... She paused, as if trying to piece together fragments. Dinner. We were having dinner. Then everything goes blank. Rowan leaned forward in his chair. Cass, you said something before you collapsed. You said wrong glass. What did you mean? She stared at him with wide, confused eyes. Wrong glass? I don't remember saying that. Think, Cass. It's important. I honestly don't remember. The doctor said memory loss is common with these kinds of drugs. She reached for his hand. Rowan, I'm scared. Someone tried to poison me. Someone's been poisoning me for weeks. For a moment, watching her frightened, vulnerable expression, Rowan almost believed her. Almost convinced himself that his suspicions were wrong. Then he remembered the text messages he'd found in her phone. The insurance policies. The shell companies. The police want to talk to you when you're feeling better. The police. Someone's been systematically drugging you, Cass. They need to find out who. Do they have any suspects? Rowan watched her face carefully. A few theories. They think it has to be someone with regular access to your food and drinks. Something flickered in her eyes. Fear? Calculation? It passed too quickly to tell. Well, she said slowly, that would be you, me, or Ava. They've already cleared Ava. And me. So who? A nurse entered Juliet carrying a clipboard and wearing a professional smile that didn't reach her eyes. Mrs. Mathers, good to see you awake. How are you feeling? Confused. Scared. That's understandable. The drugs you ingested can affect short-term memory formation. Juliet made notes on her chart. Mrs. Mathers, I need to ask you some questions about the night you collapsed. I'll try to remember. Do you recall feeling dizzy or nauseous before dinner? No, I felt fine all day. What about the water glasses? Do you remember anything about them? Cass shook her head. Nothing. Like I told Rowan, everything after dinner is just gone. Juliet exchanged a look with Rowan. Mrs. Mathers, is there anyone in your life who might want to hurt you? Anyone you've had conflicts with? No, no one. I can't imagine who would do this. After Juliet left, Cass turned to Rowan with tears in her eyes. I'm so sorry this is happening to our family. Poor Ava. She must be terrified. She's staying with Henry for now, until we know it's safe. That's probably best. Cass wiped her eyes. Rowan, when I get out of here, I want us to move. Leave this place. Start fresh, somewhere new. Move. Yes. Away from whoever did this. Somewhere we can feel safe again. What about your job? Your friends here? Our whole life. What life? Someone tried to kill me, Rowan. Our daughter isn't safe in our own home. Nothing here matters more than our family's safety. She squeezed his hand, looking into his eyes with what seemed like genuine love and concern. I know I've been distant lately. Cold. I've been feeling like someone was watching me, following me. I thought I was being paranoid, but now I know I was right to be scared. You felt like you were being watched. For months. Little things. Items moved in the house. Phone calls where no one spoke, feeling like someone had been in our yard at night. I couldn't prove anything, so I didn't want to worry you. The lies came so smoothly, so naturally. If Rowan hadn't seen the text messages, hadn't found the bank records and insurance policies, he would have believed every word. Cass, he said softly, I want you to know that no matter what happens, I'm going to protect our family. I know you will. That's why I fell in love with you. You make me feel safe. Do I? Of course. Why would you ask that? No reason. Just glad to know you trust me. Over the next 3 days, as Cass recovered in the hospital, Rowan played the part of the devoted husband perfectly. He brought her flowers, sat with her for hours, held her hand when the nightmares came to tell anyone watching. He was a man deeply in love with his wife, desperate to solve the mystery of who had tried to poison her. The doctors cleared her for discharge on Friday afternoon. As Rowan wheeled her out to the car, she leaned back and smiled. I'm ready to go home and start healing. As a family. Me too, Rowan said. But he wasn't taking her home to heal. He was taking her home to trap her. During her hospital stay, Marcus had finished installing surveillance equipment throughout the house. Cameras, audio recording devices, computer monitoring software. Everything Cass did, everywhere she went, everyone she contacted, it would all be recorded. Thank you for taking such good care of me, she said as he helped her into the house. Always. You're my wife. I made a vow. She kissed him softly. "I love you, Rowan Mathers." "I love you too," he replied. And for the first time in their marriage, they were both lying. Rowan brought Cass home from the hospital on a Tuesday morning. She sat in the passenger seat like a broken doll, staring out the window at the familiar neighborhood. Everything looked the same, but all felt foreign now. "Ava is still at Henry's," Rowan said as they pulled into the driveway. "I thought it would be better if you two had some time to adjust. When can I see her? Well, I decided it's safe." Inside, the house felt hollow. Cass noticed immediately that things were missing: family photos from a mantel, some of her paintings from the walls. Her presence was being erased piece by piece. "I made up the guest room for you," Rowan said. "Figured you'd be more comfortable there." The guest room, not their bedroom. The message was clear. Over the next few days, Rowan played the part of the concerned husband perfectly. He brought her meals, asked about her health, even suggested they watch movies together in the evening. To any outside observer, he was a devoted spouse caring for his recovering wife, but Cass saw through it. This wasn't reconciliation. This was something else. "Why are you doing this?" she asked one evening as they sat in the living room. "Doing what?" "Pretending. Acting like everything's normal." Rowan set down his beer and looked at her. "Because it is normal. For now. For now. Cass, you spent months planning to murder me. You think I'm just going to let you walk away? Start over somewhere else? What do you want? I want you to understand what you threw away. I want you to sit in this house, in this life you try to destroy, and think about what you've lost." She shivered despite the warm evening. There was something implacable in his voice, something that suggested this was only the beginning. Meanwhile, across town, Paige Croft was executing her own form of revenge. She leaked Landon's affair to Sharon Peterson, the biggest gossip in their social circle. Within 24 hours, the story had spread through their entire community. The school board received an anonymous tip about Landon's financial improprieties with company funds. The Children's Hospital charity got similar information about misappropriated donations. By Friday, Landon's world was imploding. He stormed into Paige's home office that evening, finding her calmly working on her laptop. "You bitch. You goddamn bitch. Hello, darling. Rough day at the office. You did this. You destroyed everything." "I haven't done anything except tell the truth. That's all anyone's done." Landon grabbed her chair and spun it around to face him. "Fix this. Call off your dogs. Whatever you started, end it. I can't unring this bell. Landon, people know what you are now. What am I? An adulterer? A thief? A would-be murderer?" He raised his hand like he might hit her. Paige didn't flinch. "Go ahead. Hit me. Give me one more thing to testify about in court." The hand dropped. "What court?" "The criminal court, where they'll try you for conspiracy to commit murder." She turned back to her laptop. "The police should be here with a warrant soon. You might want to call a lawyer." 20 minutes later, the arrest made the front page of the local paper. "Local businessman charged in murder plot." Below it, a smaller headline: "Wife also charged in husband's death scheme." Rowan read the article over coffee while Cass slept. The reporter had done good work. Most of the facts were accurate. The community was in shock. Landon Croft, pillar of society, and Cassandra Mathers, devoted mother and wife, accused of planning an elaborate murder for insurance money. The phone had been ringing all morning. Reporters wanting statements, neighbors wanting gossip, family members wanting explanations. Rowan let it ring. Cass came downstairs looking like she hadn't slept. She saw the newspaper and went pale. "They arrested him. Last night. You're next. Rowan, we need to talk. Really talk. There are things you don't understand about Landon, about what he made me do. Save it for your lawyer." As if on cue, car door slammed outside. Through the window, Rowan watched Detective Morrison and two uniformed officers walk up the driveway. "Cassandra Mathers, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder in the first degree, attempted murder, insurance fraud, and child endangerment." They read her rights while she stood frozen in the kitchen doorway. She looked at Rowan as they put the handcuffs on. "Please, don't let them take Ava away from me." He didn't respond, didn't even look at her as they led her out of the house. The trial was set for 6 months later. Rowan spent that time rebuilding his life, his relationship with Ava, his sense of safety in the world. He sold the house and bought a small place closer to Henry's business. Ava changed schools, started fresh where no one knew her story. She struggled at first. Nightmares about the poisoning. Confusion about why her mother wasn't coming home. Anger that her father had let this happen. "I should have seen it sooner," Rowan told her during one of their talks. "I should have protected you better. You couldn't have known. I should have. Fathers are supposed to protect their daughters. You did protect me." In the end, when the trial began, Rowan testified first. He told the story calmly, methodically, reading from phone records and financial documents. The prosecutor walked him through the timeline, the insurance policies, the text messages, the poisoning episodes. "Mr. Mathers, did you ever suspect your wife was trying to kill you?" "Not until it was almost too late." "What made you finally realize the truth?" "When she nearly killed my daughter instead." Cass's defense attorney tried to paint her as a victim of Landon's manipulation. A battered wife, psychologically abused, forced into a scheme she never wanted. But the text messages told a different story. Cass's own words, her enthusiasm for the plan, her cold calculation about dosage amounts and murder methods. Pagecroft testified for 3 hours, detailing Landon's financial crimes and his threats against his own family. She was devastating on the stand, articulate, prepared, absolutely certain. The most damaging evidence came from Nurse Juliet and Dr. Martinez. They testified about the pattern of poisoning, the escalating doses, the clear signs of chronic exposure in Ava's system. "In your medical opinion," the prosecutor asked Dr. Martinez, "was this a case of accidental poisoning?" "Absolutely not. The pattern shows deliberate, systematic administration of sedatives over several weeks. Someone was testing dosages. Testing for what purpose? In my opinion, to determine the amount needed to cause death in an adult male of similar body weight." Cass broke down on the witness stand. Tears, pleading, promises to change. She claimed she never meant to hurt anyone, that she was forced into the scheme, that she thought about backing out every day. The prosecutor destroyed her on cross-examination. "Mrs. Mathers, you texted Mr. Croft that your daughter was the perfect test subject because she was resilient. What did you mean by that?" I don't remember that text. Would you like me to read it to you?" "Ava's perfect for testing. Kids bounce back faster than adults. She'll never know what happened." "I was confused. Scared enough to poison your own daughter repeatedly for 3 weeks. No answer." "Mrs. Mathers, at any point during those 3 weeks, did you consider stopping? Did you consider leaving your husband instead of killing him?" "I thought about it, but you didn't do it." "No, because it was easier to commit murder." "No, that's not. Because killing him would get you insurance money that divorcing him wouldn't." "That's not why. Because if you divorced him, you might not get custody of your daughter. But if he died, you'd get full custody and could take her wherever you wanted." Silence. "Isn't that right, Mrs. Mathers? I loved my family. You loved your family so much you tried to murder half of it." The jury deliberated for 2 days. Guilty on all counts for both defendants. Cass received 25 years to life. Landon got 30 years. The judge called it one of the most calculated and heartless crimes he'd ever seen. Rowan felt no satisfaction, no sense of justice served. Just relief that it was over. 2 years later, Rowan sat on the deck of their cabin in northern Colorado, watching Ava paint. She was 14 now, taller, more confident. The nightmares had stopped. She laughed again. "What do you think?" She held up the canvas, a mountain vista with wildflowers in the foreground. "It's beautiful. Your best one yet. I'm thinking about entering it in the art contest at school." "You should. Business was good. Better than good." Word had spread about what happened, and somehow that made people trust him more. A man who'd survived betrayal and rebuilt his life was someone you could count on to build your house right. Henry stopped by most evenings. Tonight, he brought beer and stories from town. Saw Pagecroft at the grocery store. "She asked about you." "How's she doing?" "Good. Better. Kids are thriving. She's thinking about running for city council. That'd be good for her." They drank in comfortable silence, watching the sun set behind the mountains. Ava had gone inside to clean her brushes. "Any word from—" Henry didn't finish the question. "No, nothing." Cass had written letters at first. Apologies, explanations, pleas for forgiveness. Rowan hadn't opened them. After 6 months, they stopped coming. You ever think about dating again? Sometimes, but not yet. Maybe not ever. I don't trust my judgment anymore. Your judgment was fine. She was just that good at lying. Maybe. Or maybe he'd seen what he wanted to see for so long that he'd forgotten how to see the truth. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. We did it. He's officially bankrupt. Thank you for everything. P. Page. Landon's final defeat, then. The civil suits had apparently finished what the criminal trial started. He deleted the message without responding. Dad. Ava called from inside. Can we make hot chocolate? Of course. Inside their small cabin, Rowan made hot chocolate while Ava worked on homework at the kitchen table. This was his life now. Quiet. Simple. Safe. Sometimes, late at night, he wondered what would have happened if Ava had never gotten sick that night. If Cass's plan had worked, he'd be dead. She'd be in Costa Rica with Landon and probably Ava, and everyone would remember him as a good man taken too soon. Instead, Cass sat in a concrete cell, probably wondering how her perfect plan had gone so wrong. Landon was in a different prison, his children visiting him on weekends, his ex-wife rebuilding the life he'd tried to destroy. Justice, maybe. Or just consequences. The fire in the fireplace crackled as they settled in to watch a movie. Ava curled up on the couch beside him, head on his shoulder. Safe. Happy. Healing. Dad. Yeah. I'm glad we moved here. Me too, kiddo. Me too. Outside, snow began to fall, covering the world in a white blanket of forgiveness. But some stains went too deep to wash clean. Some betrayals left marks that never healed. Rowan had learned to live with his scars. He'd taught Ava to live with hers. They were building something new from the ashes of what they'd lost. And that was enough. That had to be enough. Because in the end, survival wasn't about forgetting the past or forgiving the unforgivable. It was about refusing to let the darkness win. It was about protecting what mattered and never, ever letting anyone take it away again. The fire burned bright in the hearth. Outside, the snow fell silent and clean. Inside, a father and daughter watched movies and drank hot chocolate and pretended that the world was simple and safe and good. And for now, for them, it was.